It's the morning news, 67 degrees, beautiful day, ballots in the mail. Lance had a story about that, probably arriving at your house today or tomorrow.
That's right.
You've got till the 4th to tune them up and turn them in, and along the way we've been talking to a number of the candidates running in this new configuration, the historic elections for Yakima. And we turn our attention now to, is it the 6th district, I believe?
Yes, sir. That's right.
And we've got candidate Adam Yoest in today. Good morning, Adam. Good to have you here.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hello, Adam.
Thanks for being here. You may recognize Adam's name from election races past. Running for Congress, yes?
State rep.
State representative, right. 14th District State Rep, that's right.
Right on.
Let's see. You are running against incumbent Maureen Adkison and Gavin Keefe. It's a three-person race, so the primary will set one of the three down, and the other two then move on, yes?
Yes, sir.
General election.
That is right.
These, of course, introductory interviews where we just get a chance to find out a little bit about the candidate, their take on a few things, and themselves in position with the race. So, morning, Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, what you do for a living, how long you've been in the Valley, that sort of stuff.
Well, my family moved to the Valley in 1988. We're implants to Yakima after my dad left the United States military. At that time, he became a teacher in the Valley, and Yakima has been my home. I was 4 years old, so it's really the only home that I really know. I grew up here, went to school here at Davis. I got my undergraduate degree up at Central Washington, and then my first master's at USC, and I'm currently going through and getting a second master's in accounting right now.
Wow.
Smart cat. Studying, man.
What was your first master's in?
Public administration with an emphasis in local governance.
Oh, wow.
That's sort of prepping for the job, isn't it?
Jeez,
well, I long joked that my dream job when I retire would be come back to the Valley and either be the city manager or the county administrator. I always thought it'd be a great job, a great way to serve. My father and my mother through the Catholic teachings of servitude, and my father as just an example of servitude, being a commissioned officer in the Army, as well as my grandfathers, that our family really believes in service, that we were blessed with what we have here, and it is our responsibility to give back to the community, serve the community, and do what we can to really ensure that for the next generations that's still there. And that's very well exemplified by my 13 years of service this month in the Washington Army National Guard.
Yeah. I mean,
congrats. Good for you.
Yeah, and that's not a full-time job with the Guard, is it?
It's part-time. I serve as what we call a traditional soldier. I do weekend drills once a month, as well as a 2-week annual training, sometimes longer, depending on mission need. And then I work as a budget analyst for the military department, just on the other side.
Your day job, as it were.
Yeah.
Right. So do you get to wear civilian clothes doing that?
Yes and no. So it just depends on the mission, what the mission dictates. So.
Yeah. All right.
Heavily involved in just as a side note, in last year's Carlton Complex fire, helping to coordinate firefighters and soldiers to battle that fire. Yeah,
mainly sending up support staff, the liaisons that were directly linked to the incident commanders on ground, just so that we could feed information to those National Guardsmen that were actually assisting in breaking line, as well as finding hot spots.
Now, you're a pretty young guy. How old are you?
I'm 31 this year.
31?
Yes, sir.
And married, yes? Yep. Okay, so you're working for Uncle Sam, keeping the budget straight for the military, and serving Uncle Sam as a guardsman. So with your education and your experience, all of this put together, the same question we've been asking everybody. What do you see as the job? The job of a city council person is fill in the blank, Adam Yoest.
The job of the council is to create an environment that business and the citizens of Yakima are capable to foster or to grow in. So we foster that environment. We say, hey, here are the rules of the game for business. This is what you can and cannot do inside the municipality of Yakima. We set up municipal code for citizens to understand what us as a society inside of the municipality of Yakima say what we will and will not permit. So from that, there's a lot of confusion that the council actually does more. Well, that's why we have a city manager. That's why we have the professional bureaucracy of the city. They're the ones that administer all of that. We're the ones that really legislate and create. and then we appoint the city manager to act as our chief executor instead of the fact that we do not have an actual strong mayor. So as far as I understand it, our job is to legislate and create the environment for everybody to operate in.
Sounds like he was paying attention in that, public policy class.
You, man.
Yeah. Okay.
The master coming in.
So, I guess the question we maybe even have answered in part, given your family's history of service and given your already demonstrated commitment to service, but it's a uniform question for all. Mm-hmm. Why are you running?
Well, main reason why I'm running this race, I just had an unsuccessful bid with the 14th district. And I was not at first looking to run for the Yakima election or the city council elections at the end of that run. Mm-hmm. But I've been approached by a few people in the district, specifically District 6, who asked me to run after my bid for the 14th. They liked a lot of what they heard of me back then. They like a lot of my viewpoints of the proper role of governance. Just because I have an opinion of something does not mean I think it enters into the actual role of government. And they enjoy that understanding. And so because of them asking me to, because of my love of this city and my actual focus in studies as local governance, mm-hmm. I just figured it was a very good idea to try.
Seems like a natural fit.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Lance?
It's KIT News Time, 7:49. Hey, we are talking to District 6 candidate Adam Yoest. Adam, what skills and abilities do you possess that going to make you an effective council member in the city of Yakima?
Well, beyond just my formal training as a master of public administration, I've actually practiced strategic planning at a very high level. I've been on a brigade staff in the National Guard for 7 years, and we go through a yearly process of doing what's called the military decision-making process, which is just a really fancy way to say strategic planning.
I was going to say, I was in the Army, and they teach you to hurry up and wait. But that's a whole nother cliche. So,
but I think through that training and through the application of those lessons that I learned at school, it really gives me an understanding of how to really go through the whole planning process, how to wait instead of entering into a planning process with a bias, saying this is where my position is and this is where I'm going to stand, letting everything go out on the ground.
Yeah. Tell you what, there's, if I may just insert an anecdote as a member of council, that's one of my greatest frustrations is that things are pre-cooked in people's heads and there's no time for discussion, conversation, for the vetting type process, reaching the understanding based on all the facts getting presented before conclusions are reached. So knowing how to work a process is an important skill. If you can get your other council members to do that with you, the end result will be that much the better for it. So I guess, a lot of people come in and talk about what they're going to do. People saying, I know how to go about the process of getting to where we need to know what to do. That's different, refreshing, and I think that's an interesting perspective that you have and offer. What about, you said you've been here since you were 4, you've been raised here, went to school here. What would you say one of or some of the best things about Yakima are?
Well, I think one of the best things, just because I remember being a kid playing Little League Baseball down at Elks Memorial, is Ron's Taco. I'll give them a plug.
It is good stuff, man.
I grew up going down there and getting an ice cream cone after baseball games, win or lose.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be in my heart.
Killer ice cream.
That's the
cones.
16th and Lincoln corner spot there.
Exactly right. Miner Burger is always a hallmark. We actually, when I was in high school, we used to hate that we never got to go to Miner Burger after games because we didn't travel.
You were the locals.
Yeah, so we would actually go down there when I was seniors, and we would go to Miner after every game.
Very nice.
So, and it's a tradition in the Washington Guard during annual training. We always try to get soldiers to come down to Miner Burger just from that tradition that we've always had. Aside from that, the greatest thing that I absolutely love, I love floating the Yakima. I do it every year if I can. The outdoor activities that Yakima offers, I get a lot of flack from friends in the unit that are from the west side. Well, you don't have trees. No, we just hide them from you.
That's right.
So, I mean, we're 10 minutes from national forests. We have many tributaries that come into this valley that I have fished my entire life. I love going up Highway 12 into Bethel Ridge area, the elk feeding station. I mean, there's too much of Yakima to pick one thing that you could actually love. If you've really explored this valley, I mean, you fall head over heels in love with it.
Totally agree. How about the worst things? What's the biggest challenge for Yakima, do you believe?
I think the biggest challenge for Yakima is really itself. I mean, we have a drummed down opinion, not just from ourselves, but from outside forces in the state, continuously telling us how bad we are. And we're really not.
Do you hear that from a lot of soldiers, that come from the west side of the state?
It's not so much from soldiers. It's just that there's a low opinion of Yakima due to the crime issue. The crime issue has been plaguing Yakima for probably about 20, 30 years now. And really, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. We just have that stigma still that we have to work past ourselves. The recent survey coming out from the city shows that Yakimanians just don't have a very positive outlook on ourselves right now. And so really, we need to do some soul-searching inside and remember that Yakima really is a great place to raise a kid. Yakima really is a great place to live. We have a lot of great things. My family's from the East Coast, and originally that's where my folks came from. And we stayed here because we love 300 Days of Sun. I love being able to pick cherries in my backyard. I mean, you can't beat it.
Well, I tell you, part of the job is cheerleader for the city. It sounds like you're prepared for that aspect of the job.
Really.
Some things are already in motion, as you know. Council's got projects that are cooking that the new council will have to deal with. What's your take on the plaza?
I'm not, as I've said before, I'm not a big fan of the plaza in its current form. I think there's different things that we can do and should to really make it a success. Additionally, it's not so much a matter of the idea of the plaza. I think it's the timing. I just don't think it's the right time for Yakima. I think there's other things that we need to address first that would set the plaza up for greater success. I don't necessarily think it's going to do what we think it's going to do overnight. I think it's going to cause some economic upturn, but we're going to need more development into the plaza to really make it a success.
All right. What about the marijuana ban? Last time there was a city council meeting, a half dozen people came forward and asked the council if they'd reconsider the ban on the grow, package, and retail sale of marijuana in the city limits. Thoughts on that?
Well, as far as I understand, from when I-502 passed, the city of Yakima undoubtedly said no to it based upon the actual population of voters that voted for it. So I believe the city council acted in the manner that the people of Yakima at the time wanted. Now, that doesn't mean that attitudes don't change. And if there is a successful citizens movement to get an initiative or proposition put on to the ballot, I'm fine with that. But I don't believe it should be the call of the council. I think we should reaffirm the majority opinion of the citizens, but not overturn.
How about public art?
Public art I'm a big fan of. Sometimes you don't know what you're always going to get, but at the same standpoint, the Colonel Weisengerber statue down over on Natchez. I mean, I've grew up seeing that guy every day, leaving AU basketball down at the Y. Or, I think placing public art, it's a conversation piece at a minimum. Sometimes you get a piece that you're not sure about. I believe it was a place in Michigan that got something to that extent. And yet it somehow over time just becomes a seminal piece of your city, and it really becomes that discussion piece that it's meant to be. So I am a fan of it. I know the bins of light are kind of a hot topic right now, but it's all, again, as far as I understand, that was a federal grant for art in public places. That was the whole, and that's a program that has been in place for many years, and there's many different pieces around the United States that you can go find that have been placed with that.
Economic development. A lot of people use that as one of their platform pieces. What's the city's role, in your opinion? And you kind of already answered that, too, in terms of your initial statements about creating the environment. But economic development, more to be done?
There's always more, especially right now. Yakima's a city that's just... We're basically a city coming out of our adolescence, if you would. We're a young, small city that grew up fast. We have a very... singular economic structure right now in the agribusiness society, which is not a bad thing, especially, in my opinion, agribusiness. I was listening to Mr. Lover, I believe, yesterday, and he was talking about branching out from agribusiness, and I believe he's spot on. I mean, there's many different positions, there's many different jobs that can open up. And the big challenge for us, I believe, right now is developing what we call a knowledge economy, getting that skilled labor in place so that we can present to that big employer, hey, look at the assets we have to bear to help you right now.
And finally, I guess I would ask about the ACLU lawsuit. First of all, do you think you'd be running if we weren't in a seven-districted situation? Is this opportunity for you? I guess we know why you're running, so maybe we already have the answer to that. Encouragement and preparation academically for all of this. But what's your take on the lawsuit, the appeal? Would you continue the appeal? You know what's coming? Should Texas go one way or the other?
I would personally continue the appeal. I don't want to pay the ACLU an extreme amount of money. Additionally, I believe the Texas appeal and the case that's going to be facing the court is actually a desire by the Supreme Court to start correcting the Voting Rights Act. Before the Voting Rights Act was actually passed renewed by Congress, the Supreme Court had already basically given them the understanding of there needs to be changes to the VRA. It's out of date. It's not within what we need today. And it had not been changed since it was originally passed. And the court essentially started the legwork before the first case where they stripped out the punitive articles of the VRA to start explaining kind of their role and what they believe. Now, how they're going to rule as far as what actually constitutes a voting population citizen, I don't know. But I believe that it's a further signal from the Roberts Court that they want to continue down the road of discussing the VR. It goes in line with their affirmative action discussion today. We know essentially Justice Kennedy is going to be the flip vote.
Sure.
So we don't know. But I would continue it.
I appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for coming in. We know that one goes home and two move on, and in the event you're one of those two, we look forward to having you back, having more conversations, maybe a little more grilling on the grill of question and answer. But best of good luck with your campaign, sir, and thank you for your service. Keep America safe, and we appreciate you coming in.
Well, I appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you very much.